morning. This is a great place for photographs here in Washington, D.C., especially if you like flags. This is the United States Navy Memorial. It's on Pennsylvania Avenue, just across the street from the National Archives. Hi, Faye. Good morning. Hey, how cold is it where you are? It's 33, so we just broke freezing. But I can't miss a sunny day with a little bit of a breeze to try to get some pictures of flags. And this is my favorite place for flags. This is the United States Navy Memorial. And we're gonna get some loud traffic noise in a second here. So we're in Washington, D.C. We are on Pennsylvania Avenue, where earlier this week there would have been a great big inaugural parade, but it's just so cold. 23 here. Yeah, it was that when I woke up this morning. Thankfully, we've got sun. So this is the United States Navy Memorial, and we'll walk around it. Is on this plaza here near 7th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. And in better weather, this part of the memorial here, yeah, it's totally fine to film it. Hi, GSGO. Yes, you can film the Navy Memorial. It's perfectly fine. In fact, most places in the United States, you're perfectly fine to film, including government buildings. We are an of the people, by the people, for the people country. And often people come in here and say, oh my gosh, you're not allowed to film this or that. Yep, I am. And in one of my previous videos, I walked right up the steps of the Capitol, and we do. That's what we do. We can. Everything's open here. I know what you see on television might be a little bit different, but don't believe everything you see on TV. But if the weather were better, hello, Pathan the King. Peace be to you as well. If the weather were better, this is a fountain, but obviously not today. Yeah, there's no water. So the water kind of comes over the wall here, but that certainly wouldn't work at this time of year. But the best in Poland, it's not allowed. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And obviously, you know, when I travel, I do respect the laws and rules and customs wherever I go. But here in the good old United States, unless there's a specific sign that says don't film, and that's usually for copyright reasons or proprietary information reasons, not because the government doesn't want you to film, we're all about being free and open. And so public access to everything is a good thing. We don't have a state-run media. So people can film everywhere. Oh, watching from India. How cold is it there? I hope, I hope it's not, I hope you're having summer. I'm in Washington, D.C. Who asked me? GSGO. So I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm on Pennsylvania Avenue. And I'm sorry, now you're going to get the glare from the beautiful sun today. This is our National Archives. We're going to walk around this area. You can see down the street. Okay, I'm going to go in traffic. Now, where the police will stop you is if you may put yourself in danger in traffic. But you can just see the U.S. Capitol down there, and I'm going to get out of the street. Our law enforcement officers are here to protect us and keep us safe. So when you see them around these areas, that's what it's for. It's not to keep us from filming things. That's not what we do. So let's walk around the memorial. Oh, you're having a mid-cold. It's mid-cold. Well, I hope it's not too bad. So here at the Navy Memorial, this is the compass that faces, I suppose we would call this the entrance. The United States Navy Memorial, in honor of those who served to forge the heritage of the United States Navy. In tribute to those who perished to provide peace and security for our maritime nation, and in gratitude to those now serving. Well, that's quite beautiful. Hey, Ben. Oh, you were in Washington when you were 8 or 9 years old. So here's what I'll say. It's changed a lot, but it hasn't changed a lot. Obviously, there are more buildings and, different transportation, but there's so much historic preservation here that you'll probably see a lot of what you saw when you were 8 or 9 years old. Let's see, and here's a quote from President Kennedy. Any man who may be asked what he did to make his life worthwhile can respond with a good deal of pride and satisfaction. I served in the Navy, in the United States Navy. My dad did as well. My dad is a Navy man. My granddad's a Navy man, both of my granddads and one of my great-granddads. So huge Navy family. Got one Army great-grandfather, but everyone else in the Navy. So here you can walk around the memorial and see some of the important activities and events in history and tributes to the different branches of the Navy. So engineering, women in the Navy, the Great White Fleet, and my absolute favorite president ever, Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Our big stick being the Navy. A lot of people don't know that. The big stick is a well-armed Navy. Astronauts, Navy astronauts. Everybody knows one of my favorite films is Apollo 13. And those astronauts, many astronauts, come from the United States Navy. The Marine Corps, forged from the Navy. The United States Coast Guard, also forged from the Navy. Oceanic Research. The Merchant Marine. Incredibly important to the story we talked about during Sink the Bismarck, when we did our film club review of Sink the Bismarck. Ben, you have a nephew in the Navy. I do too. My nephew I'm so proud of him. He's now doing a special assignment here at the Naval Academy, and that's close to us. So now we get to spend time with him and his family because he's been deployed so much on submarines, actually. And here's the Naval Academy, close to where I live. Destroyers. Opening Japan. John Paul Jones. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. And shipbuilding. Over here at the Memorial Museum are resources to do research on your Navy ancestors. So we won't go in there right away. Or your cousin was in the Air Force. How can it be made that's flawless? Oh, also look at the comments. I know, I'm sorry. I don't know that about astronauts. Probably both of my grandfathers served in the Army. Who'd you respect? Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I try to read the comments, but I have this fear of falling down while I'm streaming. One day, some of you are going to see it happen. The camera's going to go flying, and it's because I've fallen down. One thing I will say about Washington, D.C., it is a fantastic city for walking, as long as you watch where you're walking. This sidewalk looks pretty good, but there are some areas, not a lot of cobblestones, really not, but just there are some areas that aren't paved very well. So, you could trip. So just be careful. And there's a better view of the U.S. Archives. My camera stability is just terrible. I know, I'm so sorry. It's me. I'm just holding the camera. I don't have a gimbal or any of those fancy things, so I do apologize. I'll try to stay still, and I'll try to walk slower. If you visit the National Archives, if you think you have some research to do, obviously go online first to make sure that the records you're looking for are here. There are many locations of the National Archives. So this is the big one and the famous one. And there are many records here. I actually have had to come here for records. A few miles up the road, up north, at the University of Maryland College Park, is another facility of the U.S. Archives. And there are other facilities across the country. But the best reason to visit the archives is for the exhibits in the front of the building, where you can see a copy of our Constitution, Declaration of Independence, other important documents in our nation's history. Where we are, so Pennsylvania Avenue is north of our National Mall, not the mall, the mall, which is our big green space in between the Capitol, the Lincoln Memorial, the Capitol, the Washington Monument, down to the Lincoln Memorial. So it's a big green space. We're a block north of that. So if we were to travel this way in this direction, and we probably will, we would hit the National Mall. But we're a block up on 7th Street, and this is a great area. In addition to the Navy Memorial and the archives, there are also some really great shops. And we're going to walk down my very favorite block of preserved, little local preserved buildings in this area. So if we come up on the memorial, if you look down, this is a circular memorial. And so we have the map of the world here on the ground. I'm trying to walk sideways and not film people accidentally. I'm really careful about not filming people. So we have the map of the world, and then a wonderful sculpture of the lone sailor. The lone sailor, the young man who packs up everything and heads off on adventure to defend our country, to defend our allies, everything in his duffel bag there. It's a really great sculpture to those individual sailors who aren't necessarily memorialized with the great big statues. General Winfield Scott Hancock over there. Just your everyday sailor here at this memorial. This is bronze. I'm pretty sure this is a bronze statue. And then our flags, they remain at half mast. I'm sorry, I still do that because it's Navy. Half staff. If a flag is on a ship, it's half mast. But if it's on land, it's half staff. And our flags remain at half staff for a few more days, I think until the end of the month, in honor of President Jimmy Carter, who passed away several weeks ago. And I was here a few weeks ago to visit the rotunda and pay my respects to President Carter. So check out that live stream if you want to know what 12-degree weather looks like in Washington, D.C. And then here at the Navy Memorial Visitor Center, there's the Navy Log, which is a research database if you're interested in learning about a ship or a sailor or a battle. Great research resources here at the Visitor Center. There's also a theater with exhibits and presentations, so a little later today I'll check out and see what's playing. And then a gift shop, of course. So this says, Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arm doth bind the restless wave, who bids the mighty ocean deep its own appointed limits keep. O hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. That's the Navy hymn. And around the perimeter here, like I said, in better weather, this is all a fountain. And the water cascades down the steps here. A couple of quotes you probably can't see. Don't give up the ship, of course. That's the motto of the Naval Academy and the United States Navy. Uncommon valor was a common virtue. The sea is an unnatural environment for man, and it takes something extra for men who live with it. Oh, I like that one. I have not yet begun to fight. John Paul Jones, who helped us beat back those Brits way back when, in the very early days of our Navy, helped out by the French. We didn't really have a Navy back then. French helped us quite a bit. I would like a little more of a breeze today. These flags do look amazing. Can I tell you the air quality index? Ooh, great question. So I was just chatting with someone who is in Korea, talking about how bad the air quality is in Korea and Thailand, that there's like warnings for a bad air index. Our air quality is pretty good today. I am surprised. It is such a blue sky day, but driving down here, it was kind of hazy. Usually though, things are much better here. I feel like our pollution situation is much better than it used to be here on the East Coast of the United States. We did 2 years ago, we had really bad air for several weeks because of the Canadian wildfires that seemed to track all the way down here. Yeah, in Delhi, India, it's really bad. Yeah, I know it is. The noise level, no, it's quiet. This is a city, but there is a restriction on the height of buildings. So you can see there aren't huge, tall buildings here. The unofficial kind of, I guess, what do you call it? Sentimental approach to building height is there can never be a building taller than the Washington Monument. Well, the Washington Monument's really tall. The actual measurable limit, though, and we can see the building here, is that there can't be a building higher than the top of the post office tower, which just happens to be through these trees here. So there are no buildings in Washington, D.C. proper taller than that post office tower over there. And so that makes it, it's not as noisy. You know, you don't really hear the traffic here unless people are beeping their horns. Have I been to the UAE? No. Have I been to the UAE city of building? No. U.S. is really a superpower. Well, we're part of a wonderful world. And I think our power is helping others. We are so blessed in this country. It makes me sad when people forget it. But we are so blessed in this country with so many natural resources. And I love traveling around the U.S., from the oceans to the mountains to the deserts to our beautiful national parks. And the idea of what we call American exceptionalism, I think people have really twisted that. American exceptionalism doesn't mean that we think we're better than everybody else. It's actually to the contrary. It means that because we're blessed with so much goodness, that it's our duty and our responsibility to help others. And I think people who know that, know that, and don't try to use that as something negative or hurtful or harmful. I feel really proud to live here and to be born in the United States and to be born close to Washington, D.C. My ancestors have all served in the military, and the rest of us have grown up with the value of public service and helping people. And I think those are our most important values here. And it really ticks me off when people try to twist that. We're not better than everyone else. We're just blessed. And so we have an obligation to help. So that's my thought on that. How the beautiful city, no doubt USA is too good and superpower. I am talking about the building. Oh, yeah. Our buildings are awesome. Yeah, not all of my ancestors. Of course, not all of my ancestors. But in every generation, I have men and at least a few women who've served in the military. And I have ancestors that have served in every United States conflict from the American Revolution to today in the War on Terror. Now, I'm a block east of the Navy Memorial. This is 7th Street. I love this building. This is the old Fireman's Insurance Company. Yeah, that's the red building. This is one of my best examples of historic preservation. Now, we've talked about this before. It's a beautiful old building and there's a Starbucks in the bottom. But here's the thing. If there weren't a Starbucks and if there weren't other businesses that inhabit this beautiful building, maybe the building wouldn't be here. You know, if historic buildings aren't put to use, then they might go away. So I'm okay with the Starbucks as long as it's respectful, as long as it doesn't damage the building, as long as it keeps its place here. I'm okay with that. And I love this building. When I worked in this area of Washington, I worked about 3 blocks north of here for a while. And I would take the metro. This is the Archives Navy Memorial stop of the metro. And I would walk up the street every morning and I would see that beautiful dome in the sun. And I totally remember on the morning of 9/11, I remember every minute of that day. And I remember before the terrible tragedies began happening, I remember it was such a beautiful Tuesday. The sun was as bright as it is now and the sky was as blue. It was a lot warmer because it was September. But I remember walking up this block to get to my office, and I remember looking at this beautiful building and just thinking, what a great day. So, you know, you kind of you remember those things. But I want to cross over and just show you the rest of this block. So we're going to go this way. And I do apologize. I know I bounce when I walk. I have this thing about swinging my arms, and it's really hard not to move my arms. When I'm holding a camera, my arms want to move. And I'm not a real YouTuber, you know. I just do this for fun. So over here, this memorial here is the memorial to the Grand Army of the Republic, which is the Union Army during the American Civil War. Okay, I am walking a little fast now because I'm crossing a street. But I just want to share this beautiful example of historic preservation here. This is the corner of Indiana Avenue and 7th Street in Washington, D.C. And so you see that Farmers Insurance building that we were talking about. But then look at these other, obviously, late 1800s buildings that have been preserved. You know, there's a sports tavern there and a little pub. But there are 3 buildings here in addition to this beautiful building that have been preserved. And I love to see this, you know, next to a modern office building. We have a great example of preservation. Oh, and there's Potbelly over there. Potbelly's a little sandwich shop. They have really good chili. Now, you probably can't see it, but there's a ghost sign up there. I'll try really hard to stay steady. So on top of the Potbelly building, where you see that arched roof, if you look really hard, you can see an old advertisement that has worn away. And it says Unita Biscuit. So there used to be an American cookie company, we call them cookies, called Unita. U-N-E-A-D, or I'm sorry, U-N-E-E-D-A, Unita. But the idea is you need a biscuit. That became Nabisco, which is now a famous cookie company. So if you can see on the brick, if you can see, like, it's painted on the brick. I know it's really hard to see on the triangular roof. It's really hard. It says Unita, and then there's the Nabisco logo underneath of it. That was probably from the 1950s or 1940s. I love to find those ghosty signs. So this is a great view here. And then around here, different office buildings. I need to do some research on this one. I like this little building. And then mixed in, as often is, with our historic office architecture, we have little picnic tables with swings for folks to, from a distance, they look like cages, but it's a picnic table with swings. So you can sit and swing and eat your lunch. That's kind of cool. That's quite cool. All right, let's take a walk over here. I said I wasn't going to stream too late. Oh my gosh, yes, Pathan, if I'm saying that correctly. Oh yeah, it's snow. It snowed twice, like last weekend and a few days before. And because our temperatures haven't gone above freezing, usually our snow is gone in a day. But this muck has been around for a week, because today we might get above freezing today for the first time in several days. So yeah, that's snow. What's left of it. I have much more on my lawn at home. Let me try to get over here out of the bright sun. So yeah, this little building is cool. The National Bank of Washington building. Temperature right now is 34. Getting warmer, which is good. 34 gloriously warm degrees here today. Snow and ice is still on the ground where I live and in my backyard. Yeah, we've been in a cold snap, Faye. And let me back up. Here's a better view of that memorial to the Grand Army of the Republic. So after the Civil War, soldiers got together and created an association, sort of a fraternity, like we would call the VFW today, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And it's a fraternity for the veterans of the American Civil War on the Union side. My great-great-great-grandfather fought in an artillery unit, and he was member of the Grand Army of the Republic, one of the Baltimore chapters. And here's another good view of the archives building. And I'll just walk around the front if I can without getting hit by a car. I'm not going to get hit by a car on stream. I don't think. I hope not. But I will fall down. Someday, I will most definitely fall down on stream. So I hope you're all here to see it. And there's our Capitol. And it's still decorated for the inauguration. Nice big flags up there. The reason I'm not going up there is because it's really loud. They had built grandstands for the inaugural parade all up and down Pennsylvania Avenue, and they've removed most of them, but they're still doing work up there to take down the stands and some of the temporary, they have these temporary cell phone towers I guess for all the media that was here last week. So I'm not up there because there's so much construction. But I hope they keep the flags up there at least for a few more weeks. Maybe by next week I can get up there and get some pictures. But it's not fun when the construction's going on. This is a side view of the National Archives building. And just here, across the street, is the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. Hey, Stasis Geek! Good morning. Hey, you know what's funny? I think the last time you joined, well, it wasn't my live stream. I think I was chatting in your live stream. I was on that very street, almost getting hit by a car near the Canadian Embassy. So I'm on 7th Street near Pennsylvania Avenue. I just came off of Pennsylvania Avenue, and I am walking around our National Archives building after visiting the Navy Memorial. And then I'm going to end the stream so I can get home and do my chores and get ready for film club. James, it's warm today. It's 34 in Fahrenheit. Compared to 12 last week, this is absolutely tropical here today. We've got a beautiful 34 degrees. But a bright, sunny day I could not pass up. Oops, gotta watch the traffic. All right, we'll walk around the front. I should cross at a crosswalk, shouldn't I? I grew up in a city, you know, and if you didn't jump out in traffic, you might never be able to cross the street. So it's not a good lesson for children, for sure. All right, now I have to get out of the street. So I've just walked 1 block south on 7th Street from Pennsylvania Avenue, and this is Constitution Avenue. So from where we started at the Federal Trade Building, directly across the street is our amazing, awesome, fantastic National Galleries. These are our art galleries here. They're free. So we have the National Gallery and the National Portrait Gallery. And then the Sculpture Garden is here. And I'm going to cross over to the National Archives, but in the distance, that other domed building is our Museum of Natural History. So that's where our dinosaurs are. And I'm really proud. My granddad donated some of his collection to the Natural History Museum. My granddad was God bless him, a micromineralogist. So he collected and cataloged and researched rocks and minerals as his hobby. We are definitely a family of hobbyists, for sure. And that was his passion for his entire life. And he would come down here and he helped members of his society to catalog rocks and minerals. So there are a lot of exhibits in there that have little bits and pieces from my granddad's collection. What are my hobbies? History. History's my thing. Yes, the flags are at half staff until the end of this month out of respect for President Carter. Thanks, Ben. I'm sorry, I'm terrible about reading chat. So here's our awesome National Archives. So here, not only exhibits, this is where you can see a copy. When I say copy, I mean an original of the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. There's not one of each of those. There were several penned. So they are originals. So when I say copy, it's not a copy, it's not a facsimile, it's a version. In addition, you can see the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, other documents really important to our history. But you can also come here to conduct research. So I've been here. There are some records here, some Civil War records. The pension files of my ancestors are here. In order to do research here, you need to, number one, watch a video about how to handle documents. Number two, sign a bunch of papers that say you understand how to handle documents. And like we were talking earlier, here in the United States, for the most part, things are free and open. So if you want to see a historic document, if it's not a priceless one, you get it and you get to hold it. And you can use it for research. You just have to handle it correctly. But I also recommend, if you think you're coming here for research, make sure the document you need is actually here. There are several facilities that comprise the... Thank you.
What?
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Oh. Okay, thank you for that, because I have often paid for parking on the weekends. Okay, the wonderful police officer over there just helped out someone who was trying to pay for parking. Now, I always park a couple of blocks up in the residential area, but the police officer was like, hey, dude, it's free on weekends. Wow. Don't put me on the big TV. Hey, Jackson, how are you? Hi, Jackson. Kids like flags. Flags are cool. There's a lot of flags around here. Oh, hello, Jackson. Can't really see into the sculpture garden from here. I'm not going to walk over there because there's only one entrance in and out, and it's on the other side, so I'm not going to walk over there. But hey, I have to remember that in all my videos when I'm talking about Washington, D.C., that here, if you choose to park on Constitution or Independence Avenue, it's free on weekends. They don't post that. And like I said, I generally park in the residential or the business district. I know where to park without paying, but many people don't. And it's not posted. So cheers to that wonderful officer over there who helped to save a few bucks. It's not expensive to park here, though. Compared to some other cities, it's a few bucks for a few hours. I'm guessing, don't quote me, but I think I've been here for several hours and paid like $3, so not really that expensive. All right, now I'm on 9th Street. We'll take a look at a few more buildings and then I'm going to cut the stream because now my fingers are freezing. So, not to be all business-like, but parking here in the city, if you park at the garages, you're going to pay an arm and a leg. You may pay a minimum of $25, regardless of how long you park. So some of the garages say, get the early bird special, get here before, whatever time, and only pay $28. Really expensive. But parking on the street is not. The only problem is you do have to move after 2 hours. So if you're just going to be a few minutes, you'll have to come back and move your car. But honestly, just one more point on parking. There is always parking here. I've heard people say, oh my gosh, there's always parking. You just saw me walk from Constitution Avenue to Pennsylvania Avenue. Now we're in the business district. The tourists don't park here, but it's a block or two away. And on weekends, nobody's here working. Most of the workers aren't here. So there's plenty of parking available. You can tell I encourage people to come here. So now we're back. There's the Navy Memorial, where we began our day at the flags. And I just want to give a view here back on Pennsylvania Avenue. This is the J. Edgar Hoover building. Does anybody know what this building is? Crazy looking 1960s brutalist architecture. This is the FBI headquarters. The J. Edgar Hoover building. Pretty cool. But it's right across the street from this obviously Deco building. And this is the Department of Justice building with its Art Deco doors. So we definitely get a mix here in Washington. Please eat something, it's cold. I had a bagel. I usually do a bagel on a Saturday morning. All right, we'll go back to our flags where we began. And this is looking down Pennsylvania toward where the White House would be. That building that you see in the far distance, that's not the White House. That's part of the Treasury Department, way in the distance there. Looks like the White House. People mistake it for the White House. It's not. It's the Treasury Department. But Pennsylvania Avenue joins our United States Capitol with the White House. And there is quite a bit to see in between, including the United States Navy Memorial. Let me try that again. Including the United States Navy Memorial. My lips are freezing. All right, I'm going to end the stream when I get to the flags. I'm going to take some film for another video I'm making on the Navy Memorial. And then I'm going to go into the Memorial Visitor Center so that I can access the research logs there. Again, a really great place for research if you are interested in learning about your ancestors who served in the United States Navy. Have a great day, everyone. Please go to Stasis Geek's channel. You see him in the chat. Go to his channel and subscribe, and join us later today for Film Club, where we're going to talk about, I can't help but to laugh, critters today. Ben and Galadorn, did you do your homework? Did you watch Critters? You never know what the Wheel of Film will bless us with. And that's why I absolutely love it. You never know what you're going to get, but it's always a lot of fun. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for stopping by. Drop me a like, please. Check us out on Film Club, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay warm. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.